God, through the prophet, is still building his case towards what the people have done, how they have turned their backs on him, and why he is going to judge them if they don't return to him. And in fact, as you read through the book of Isaiah, it's often been commented on that though the chapter headings, the chapters and verses in the Bible are not inspired and often, in fact, put in the wrong place, in the providence of God, it just worked out that Isaiah was broken into 66 chapters. And there are, of course, 66 books in the Bible. And the division between chapters 39, 1 to 39, and then there's a division, and chapters 40 to 66 happens to coincide perfectly with how the Bible is divided. So you've got 39 chapters in the Old Testament, you've got 26 in the New. And how does the New Testament start? With the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. John the Baptist comes on the scene. That's how the New Testament starts. And of course, that is a quote from Isaiah chapter 40. That's how Isaiah chapter 40 starts. So it's quite remarkable. And in fact, the tenor, the atmosphere of the first 39 chapters of Isaiah are very much an atmosphere of God's judgment, God's warnings, God's anger, the apostasy of the people, and his charge against them. And then from chapter 40 of Isaiah, as we go through to the end of the book, the tone changes entirely to one of mercy, one of grace. The Messiah himself is prophesied, and then at the end of Isaiah, the new heavens and the new earth, which is how the New Testament ends as well. So quite remarkable. But today, of course, we're still early on in the book, and so God is building his case. And we're going to read a song that God gives Isaiah to write and sing to the people, which is a charge against them. And we read that in chapter 5. So let's start from verse 1. Now let me sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved regarding his vineyard. My well-beloved has a vineyard on a very fruitful hill. He dug it up and cleared out its stones and planted it with the choicest vine. He built a tower in its midst and also made a winepress in it. So he expected it to bring forth good grapes, but it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, please, between me and my vineyard. What more could have been done for my vineyard that I have not done in it? Why then, when I expected it to bring forth good grapes, did it bring forth wild grapes? And now please let me tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away its hedge, and it shall be burned, and break down its wall, and it shall be trampled. I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned or dug, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds, that they rain no rain on it. Now, I immediately want to jump to the New Testament, because if you know your Bible, that will remind you of some words that Jesus spoke one day to the Pharisees as he was rebuking them for their hardness of heart. And we're going to read this in Mark chapter 12, and we'll start at verse 1. Then Jesus began to speak to them in parables. A man planted a vineyard and set a hedge around it, dug a place for the wine vat, and built a tower. And he leased it to vine dressers and went into a far country. Now, at vintage time, he sent a servant to the vine dressers, that he might receive some of the fruit of the vineyard from the vine dressers. And they took him and beat him and sent him away empty-handed. Again, he sent them another servant, and at him they threw stones, wounded him in the head, and sent him away shamefully treated. And again he sent another, and him they killed. And many others, beating some and killing some, therefore still having one son, his beloved. he also sent him to them last, saying, They will respect my son. But those vine dressers said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and the inheritance will be ours. So they took him and killed him, and cast him out of the vineyard. Therefore, what will the owner of the vineyard do? He will come and destroy the vine dressers and give the vineyard to others. Have you not even read this scripture? The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. And they sought to lay hands on him, but feared the multitude, for they knew he had spoken the parable against them. So they left him and went away. So Jesus told that parable in Jerusalem as he was walking in the temple, and the chief priests and the scribes and the elders had come to him. These were the most senior leaders of the Jewish people. And he repeats the song of Isaiah to this generation of Jews, and he charges them with it. Quite amazing. Often we will read the New Testament, and if we don't know the Old, we don't realize what Jesus is doing as he quotes the Old Testament. And one of the reasons the scribes and the Pharisees would have known he was speaking about them is because in Isaiah, he had said in verse 7, which I didn't read to you, he goes on to explain the song. And Isaiah tells the people, you want to know what this song means about this well-beloved who plants a vineyard in a field that should have been fruitful, and he came to find fruit on it, and there was no fruit. What does it mean? And he says in verse 7, For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah are his pleasant plant. He looked for justice, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry for help. So what is the fruit that the vine dresser, the one who planted this vineyard, what was the fruit that he came to get? And in fact, in the version of Jesus, the parable, Jesus said that God had sent servants to go and get some of the fruit. And who were the servants? Well, Isaiah was one of those servants himself. The prophets throughout the ages, God sent prophets to his people, calling them back, saying, come back to God, bear fruit for God. But they refused. And in the end, God sent his only begotten son, Jesus himself. And what did they do to the son? They said, let us kill him, because then the inheritance will be ours. And they put him on a cross. So what was the fruit that the prophets went to go and get, and that in the end the Son himself came to get from Israel? Well, Isaiah tells us, he looked for justice, but behold oppression. For righteousness, but behold a cry for help. Justice and righteousness. Okay, so what is the point that I want to make today? It seems to me, and I read this in Motcha's commentary on Isaiah this morning, and I think he's right when he says this, that the point of these two parables, it's one parable actually, and it's the same God who's using it. God who gives it to Isaiah, and then Jesus who is the word of God giving it again to the men of his generation. The point seems to be this: it is entirely reasonable for God to expect justice, righteousness, and submission to the King, King Jesus, from us. Entirely reasonable. When God desires all men to worship him and serve him, and to turn away from their evil and their wickedness, and commanding them, if you do not do this, you will end up in hell with the devil and his angels. That is not an unreasonable thing. It is entirely reasonable. Just as reasonable as it was for the vine dresser, the well-beloved, to plant his vine on a very fruitful hill. The ground was good. It should have borne fruit. But men have turned to many wicked schemes. We have gone our own way, every one of us. It is entirely reasonable that God should expect righteousness from us, and that if we don't, that he judges us. Men want to charge God with unreasonable anger and wrath, and that hell is unfair. No, it's not. It's entirely reasonable. So what has God done for us? Just as that vine dresser planted this vineyard, and dug a wall around it to protect it, and put a wine vat in it, and did everything that he could. What more could I have done, said God to Israel. Well, God has first of all given us an incredible creation to live in. An incredible earth full of mathematical and geographic potential. I mean, the potential that's locked up in this ball that moves through space is incredible. So he's given us a creation to live in. And then secondly, he gave us his only begotten Son. He sent his Son to us, not just prophets and wise men and Moses and the men that wrote the Old Testament, but in the end, when the fullness of time had come, he sent his only Son to come and save us. And he put him on a cross for us, that we might be forgiven, that we might have eternal life. What more could God do to get your attention and to earn your loyalty to him? Nothing. He's done everything that he can. It is now entirely reasonable that you should serve him and that you should obey Jesus as your King. Right. So, God bless you. And Lord, thank you for all you've done for us. And yes, God, we will serve you. And it is entirely reasonable that we should. Amen? Good. I'll see you tomorrow.